Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jack Lee, and I'm glad you could make it today. We have the user list on the far left-hand side masked, except for the moderators, Mike Benix, AJ, Evanish, and myself. If you want to retain your privacy and start a private dialogue with any of the moderators, feel free to do that by clicking on their icon and using the private chat option. The session today is being recorded, and if you put something in the public chat, your name will be in the recording from this point forward. So just a heads up, if you want to maintain your privacy, use private chat and not public chat. Today we're going to be covering our learning management reimagined topic and introducing some of the new features of our KMx learning platform. This will be version 15. With me today, I have our Chief Technology Officer, Mike Benix. Mike.
Hello, everybody.
Camera and say hi if you want. And AJ Evanish, who's also been intimately involved in the planning, development, and testing of our solutions and getting client feedback. And he's also here to help you if you have any issues using the KMx Live product that you're using right now to participate in this event. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, for those of you just joining, the user list is masked with the exception of the moderator. So the three people you should be seeing are myself, Jack Lee, AJ Evanish, and Mike Benix, and private chat is available with any of them if you want to ask questions or you have any issues that you want to cover or discuss. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about platform capabilities. Number one, KMx has full learning management development capabilities, all wrapped around a content management system that also provides performance support for individuals that need just-in-time training, just-in-time support activities, and things like that. It has all the talent management tools that you would normally associate with a talent management system, and provides certification management, which is extremely popular with our customers, to be able to create continuums, pipelines, career paths, and career tracks, and be able to move people down the path and monitor their performance and set deadlines, things like that. We'll talk about that in a minute. We've got a very high-end testing engine that was really designed around doing high-stakes testing, but it basically does everything. We'll get to that. As far as being able to provide performance management and employee evaluations and things like that, the system fully supports those capabilities. You're using our virtual classroom, KMx Live right now, but there's also a version of this called Testing Center, which is really designed to do virtual exams. It's the same product, it's just a different configuration. We're going to talk a little bit about gamification and our new adaptive learning engine, and all the new client customizable features that have been added into version 15. And we also offer unlimited scalability for our customers and unlimited user pricing, which is really popular with customers that are in the 5,000 user and above range, because they don't like to have to pay seat licenses or per user monthly fees or things like that a lot of our competitors are charging. So to get started, I want to talk a little bit about e-learning design, development, delivery, and management within KMx. KMx does provide KMx Author. It's our development tool. It was built around HTML5, and it is 100% HTML5. It's not something that was jury-rigged to work in HTML5 like we see from some of the other authoring platforms that are out there, because we really wanted to be able to support any device. We wanted to be able to get to the mobile devices, the tablets, and the desktop with an equal quality deliverable, with a finished product that looked as good and functioned as well in any environment. And in order to do that, we really wanted to start from scratch and work HTML5 through all the way to the end. Obviously, we wanted to maintain SCORM conformance, because there's a lot of customers out there that become completely reliant on SCORM for their development processes and for their record keeping as well. And we wanted to add in the ability to do process simulations so that customers could, do cut and paste screen captures and things like that, provide hotspots and create simulations out of that. To be able to do, click next simulations, things like operating valves or playing the piano even. We've got a piano simulator loaded today. At the end, we can play that, as a group if you want. We'll get that off the recording just to avoid any embarrassment. We support all third-party learning authoring tools and courseware systems like Articulate and Toolbook, Captivate, iSpring. There's certainly no penalty associated with using, KMx with those third-party tools. But we did want to have something that didn't have a seat license or, a license associated with it that was free for everyone. So KMx Author from, the get-go was designed to be something that we could not only offer to our clients for unlimited use, unlimited authors, including, user and student, provided content, but also make available to the public. So KMx Author is 100% free, and it's available on the site that you registered with, kmxdirect.com, for free if you want to play with it. We also support import of other, products like MS Office imports from PowerPoint and Excel and from Microsoft Word, and the popular Adobe PDF formats as well. There's several other formats we support that we can get into as we get down the path. What I would like to do, though, is turn it over to AJ to cover slide 4. So AJ, I'm just going to keep the presenter key and let you run to slide 4 here and give them a little bit of information about this new product.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jack. So KMx includes some adaptive learning features that are built right into our course outliner, which makes it really easy for developers to set up and maintain. Basically, during the course setup process, developers can apply adaptive learning settings for each applicable course content record. So what that does is it gives you some options to define some content availability thresholds based on things like score ranges or an aptitude assessment, or even the sequence that the learner took. Adaptive learning basically increases learner comprehension and also retention of subject matter by adapting the learner's path towards completion to best fit their needs. So to give you a practical example, a course might begin with some form of an entrance exam. The learner's score on that exam could then be leveraged with the adaptive learning settings to dictate if the learner should complete the very next SCO or if they're eligible to jump ahead. So some course content could be set so that learners have to complete all items leading up to it, or the status and or score of certain elements may allow a learner to skip specific course content modules. Adaptive learning supports our eLearning authoring tool, which is KMx Author, some other third-party authoring tools, all third-party authoring tools, Microsoft Office files, and some other web deliverable file formats. You also have access to detailed reporting of all those learner interactions, their achievements, exam responses, etc. That's all available through our reporting engine. So if you do want to learn a little bit more about adaptive learning specifically, you can log into kmxdirect.com and then just do a search for the keyword adaptive. You'll actually find a recorded event where we discuss this a little bit more in depth. And with that, Jack, I can pass it back to you.
Yeah, I found a couple of interesting things our clients were doing with the adaptive learning, engine, or playing with in one case, and one of them was actually using it to not let users proceed in the course and do anything in the class until they made their meal selections for the event. I guess they were having a problem getting to decide on turkey, chicken, or beef. And they created a survey that was a required element before they could move forward. Now, they didn't get different training whether they'd selected turkey, chicken, or beef, but I thought it was kind of a unique way to use the adaptive learning engine. So thanks, AJ.
Get the job done.
Okay, classroom delivery and management. Is also at the core of the system. We've got some really nice scheduling tools, Gantt chart oriented scheduling tools that allow our customers to not only schedule their classrooms and the events that happen during those classrooms, like maybe the students come to class every day, or maybe on Thursdays they go somewhere else, or whatever their scheduling needs are. The Gantt chart allows you not only to see that, but to manage it very easily and to add new activities and events as needed to make it work for your students. It also allows you to manage your instructor scheduling so that you can determine, Susie's teaching Monday and Tuesday and Brad's teaching Thursday and Friday. Well, you at least know where they are and what what their responsibilities are. It can keep you from double booking not only instructors but also your resources like classrooms, virtual assets that you may be using, virtual classrooms, like if you're using third-party tools like Zoom or something like that, and you want to schedule those assets for use because your license requires it, or you just don't have unlimited rooms available with your license with Zoom or MS Teams. So that's a pretty handy way to use these management tools. But it also allows you to manage your instructor qualifications as well, so that you're not assigning instructors to programs that haven't achieved qualifications. If you set a qualification program up or a certification that identifies that instructor is qualified to teach that subject or that specific course or that specific class. So, those are all things that we think are pretty important to have your system provide a full blended capability. Now, with that, you have to support those instructors. So in KMx version 15, our new dashboard that we've got, which I'm going to show you in a minute, allows you to have a lot of different instructor support tools that are fully tailorable by the client. You don't really have to put in a support ticket or break code to change any of these elements because they're done in the KMx reporting tool system. The KMx reporting system actually generates widgets that allow you to navigate from thing to thing to thing, from element to element to element. So in this instance, what you've got on the screen is an instructor calendar that navigates to events, which is how you all got here today, most likely. And the next element is instructor assignments, which allows you to navigate to maybe your class roster, or maybe you want to have it navigate to some other administrative tools that you have associated with your instructor responsibilities. But again, these are all things that we wanted to make sure were included in the dashboard features, so that when an instructor logs in, the system knows they're an instructor and also is able to process them as an instructor. So let's go ahead and open up a Chrome tab here just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. Okay, this is the wrong tab. So let me go to the other tab. That's funny. Let's stop showing that tab and we'll show the other tab. Okay, right tab. Okay, that other tab was the tab that I used as an instructor to get this class started, and that's how instructors start their classes. So this user, Evia, is an instructor. She's also got student responsibilities and activities. In this case, this is what we call a dynamic chart, and it paints a interactive graph that people can run through. But the dashboard also gives you the ability to have things like certification status, so if they're involved in certification programs or required training continuums, things like that. Now, as a supervisor, this individual has access to other reports and also access to the personnel that he or she is responsible for. In the case of instructor assignments, this instructor's got several classes with people enrolled and has access to be able to change their status, update status associated with any of the classes that instructor is responsible for. Now, this one just happens to link to the class roster management tool, but it could also link to the individual's enrollment record, or it could link to other elements that you're interested in. In this case, the default for that tool is go to the class roster so that you do roster management, mark people attended, mark people completed, set scores or change scores if there's a reason to change a score that was received from a class. So it gives you kind of an idea how the navigation sequences work. And then as an instructor, this individual can, go to any of the things that have been assigned to her associated with the classes that, she's responsible for teaching, and actually navigate to those elements. I'm not going to, do that right now. I just want to give you an idea of how this dashboard works. But while we're here, let's look at a couple of different kinds of reports that can be done with this. One of the reports that people seem to really like is to be able to, bring up an org chart. Now, in this case, we've got two delinquencies. The person, Evia, is delinquent on something. We could go look that up. And we've got Lucius Edens is also delinquent on something. And we can go, look that up. And we've got two employees that are done with everything that they're supposed to do. So if I want to find out what's wrong with this user's enrollments, I can look at their, tracks that they're assigned to, and see that in their new employee onboarding, certification, this user's completed the drug-free workplace policy, but has not completed the working well with others course that's been assigned to them, and the due date has already passed. So, that tells you, there's a problem. And the system also provides, if you want, notifications not only to the user that a delinquency is approaching or may occur, it can also notify the supervisor via email or messaging that has happened or is about to happen. Now, the other thing that we've got available are things like Google Maps. And again, these are all customer generated, features. So you decide what you want on the map. A map kind of needs an address, or at least a location or a city or a state, something like that, in order to generate. But you give it the information by using our dynamic reports tool, and then the system generates the map based on that information. Now, the map's not static. So, up here, if I click on this user, that's Edens Lucius again. We see, there's the red, thing there because we've set the map up to paint, it red if there's a delinquency on training certification, but it could be, some other element that you want to track instead of just, certification or training requirements being met. And down here, we've got our other users that are both green, Jan Winton and Heather Esteban. So you get the idea that as a customer, you generate a map and you generate where you want that map to go to. And in this case, we're going to the person's information record, which allows the user to go in and perform functions associated with that user. So that's how these dashboards all work, and you can create unlimited widgets. Obviously, you don't want this screen to get too busy, but it gives you an idea of what some of the features are. At the top here, we've got one that's pretty popular with our association clients. They really love the ability to advertise. And some of our corporate clients like to be able to do spot notifications with this advertising widget, or safety bulletins, things like that. And it allows you to go direct to a course, direct to a learning object, direct to an external link, and it's very easy to set up within the system. And all it really needs is a title, a short description, and what you want the link to say, possibly an image like you have over here, and then the ability to actually click on something to accomplish it. So again, these are all user customer definable features and functions, and they assign themselves by role, and they automatically tailor the outputs of any report to the currently logged in user. So you don't need a different report for every user. You have one report, and the system generates the output based on that user. So the supervisor reports generate only that which that supervisor should be able to see with regard to subordinates and classes and things like that as it goes to instructor assignments, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all fairly easy to set the first one up and then just reuse as you go. Okay, so let me go ahead and shut that screen share off and talk a little bit about virtual learning here. Now, with regard to virtual learning, you're using KMx Live's virtual classroom right now. The event is being recorded. This is going to generate an e-learning course at the end that's fully interactive. So if I push content, which I'm not going to do right now, but if I push a survey or an exam or a game or a simulation, you would be able to actually do it in the space that the slide is in, or blow it up to full screen if you wanted to. And that would even work on your mobile devices and your tablets as well. You'd be able to participate in those kinds of activities using, any device. That's the way the system's designed. Now, our KMx Live virtual exam centers are set up around a testing cubicle, concept, where every user that comes into the test center is assigned to a cubicle. And while they may all be taking the same test at the same time on a scheduled event with a moderator, the cubicle can be monitored. Now, you might want to get permission, from the user in advance before showing up for, the testing center exam sequence, that you are going to record their screen and that you are going to record, their audio, and you're going to record, video while they're taking the exam. It's pretty common practice out there. But we do recommend that customers at least let their users know that that's what's going to happen, so that they don't protest on privacy grounds later on. We also support third party virtual meeting rooms, but there's really nothing like this available in Zoom or MS Teams that you can do, where it's fully integrated with your learning content management system, to the extent to where I push something through here right now, like an exam. You all take the exam, and it can either be self-paced, or I can time it, or I can time every question. And then the instructor can see each response that the students are making on a dashboard. I can see if you're paying attention right now. I can see if you've gone off and started updating your Facebook profile, from my dashboard that I have here, because I have an attention meter, running. So it's a great tool to be able to really do classroom training instead of just virtual meetings. You can also push simulations through, which we'll do later on. I've got a piano simulator queued up that we can do, towards the end of the presentation. Okay, so let's move ahead here. The goal again of KMx Live is to deliver measurable and interactive content. Keep the students engaged, keep them looking, at what you want them to look at and participating in your class. You can do that with exams, quizzes, surveys, KMx Games, which lets you do TV style game shows with several different interfaces that mimic game shows you've seen on TV, like Who Wants to Be Rich and The Weakest Ring, and things like that. You can push simulations. We've had customers do simulations with piping systems, with desktop systems, or teaching them how to use software, where they can actually type into the screen and hit the next button and move forward, or whatever is necessary there. You can also do traditional e-learning, and it doesn't really matter what e-learning product you use. So if I wanted to push an articulate course into that window right now, and every student be tracked and monitored as they go, KMx Live would support that. Now with KMx Author, you also get a special dashboard that lets you control the student's pacing through the e-learning, if you want to control the student's pacing, or if you want to be able to monitor every response that the student is providing as they progress through the learning or simulation scenario. KMx Author provides that additional dashboard. The moderator dashboards and metrics are fairly comprehensive. We monitor progress, attentiveness, participation, achievements, status, scores, location. We can pull up the student's gradebook at any point to see what kind of issues we may have had early on in the course that may be leading to bigger problems now. We can do breakout rooms, testing cubicles, 50 video windows can open simultaneous, although it gets a little crowded on the screen. Your breakout rooms, testing cubicles, and up to 500 users in a room. Again, these are things that just aren't currently available in products like Zoom or MS Teams or those alternatives, which allows you to push that out into the hybrid learning market and environment. So where you've got classroom students and remote students participating at the same time, in activities, in a hybrid learning scenario with some kind of display in the front of the room for students to look at. Now you've got the ability to push things out like exams to the students that they could complete on a local tablet, in the classroom, on an iPhone, on a Android, and your remote students could feel like they were actually in the classroom. The remote user management, it is just as comprehensive as what I have here. I can kick anybody out of the room. I can talk to anybody in person, one-on-one in the room. I can, promote a user to a moderator and let them take over some controls like the whiteboard or, things like that. I have all that control over my remote users, and at the same time, they get to participate with the interactive elements that, we put up on the screen, or games that we play. We can do proctored exams. We can do it in a group environment. We can break them out into cubicles, and of course, other, simulations and exercises. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the primary user interface. I've already shown you, several of these features already. The goal here was to create intuitive role-based displays, and the primary roles that we're working with on the user interface, separate from our administrative console, is your students, your instructors, your supervisors, and your managers. Fairly self-explanatory, but an instructor could be a combination of any of the other units. So an instructor can be a student, or an instructor can be a supervisor. An instructor can be, also a manager. A manager could manage instructors. So the combinational roles are all available, to customers to be able to get the dashboards to look and work the way they need them for those kind of individual roles. You can also break these roles up by organizational entity. And an organizational entity might be like a division, a department, a work center, or things like that. So, you could have, different things available based on organizational entity, and they're respective of our language packs. And you can have multiple language packs loaded that load the right thing, for the user in the language. And all of the widgets and gadgets and reports are language sensitive for, the major elements. So those can all be made language independent. So those are things, to consider as well. The navigation elements that we have on the unit, on the user interface, and AJ is going to show you some of this on the smartphone, I think a little later on, right, AJ?
That is correct.
Our, your homepage, assignments, current enrollment, student records, catalog, and available classes. And this is all client configurable. And the system is not going to display something where there's nothing available, to display. So you don't really have to worry about those kind of issues, and it's again fully client configurable. So let's take another quick look at this real quick and look at some of these other pages to make sure I go to the right screen share this time. And I did the same thing again. I should probably shut that tab down. Let me go back here. Darn. I must be a little slow today. Suffering from a little bit of a head cold this week. Go ahead and do that one last time. Okay, bingo, got it. Okay, I got the right tab this time. I could have shared my whole screen too, which probably would have been easier for everybody. But we already covered the homepage pretty well. What I would like to do now, though, is look at some of the other things that are available, like assignments. Okay, in this case, we know that Evia has completed new employee onboarding because we looked at a map, we looked at an org chart, we looked at reports, and within that subset are the courses that that individual had to complete, both green in this case, and other information associated with it. They can go to the transcript and get a certificate of completion associated with any completed courses under their assignments. In this case, this user hasn't made any progress yet on the manager and supervisor required training certification. And they both have due dates associated with them. And in this case, they're coming up fairly quick. So Evia needs to get hot and get these two done. Now, again, these are dummy users, and this is just a promotional marketing site that we use to be able to show different capabilities. But in this case, this user is delinquent on the sales certification program. Business writing and reports is red because the due date for that has now passed. It just passed yesterday, I guess. And so Evia, is delinquent. Her supervisor has been notified she's delinquent, but she's still okay on developing strong relationships and creating winning first impressions. She's got a couple days left to complete one and about a week and a half to complete the other. So this gives you a very easy way to get in and, as a user, to see what your status is, what's important, what you need to focus on. And you can also do that from your current enrollments page. So if you don't have large certification or onboarding or, employee qualification programs, or continuums that you need to manage, you want to manage everything from current enrollments, the same date, requirements can be established, just don't show the, assignments page. And again, business writing report, she immediately sees as red. She's got a problem, there. That's the only problem or delinquency she's got, but she does have that delinquency. And again, the course cards give you the right information for the context that they're being displayed in. And they're displayed no matter what you do within the system in terms of doing a course search or a class search or a deep dive. The information is going to be appropriate for that element. So in this case, this thing I'm looking at happens to be a change management class. It's got a calendar associated with it. It's got an instructor assigned, a classroom assigned, a start date and an end date. And that class itself has activities set up that are part of the class that are on the calendar that the students participate in and are notified of. So these are the kind of things that you can do with this type of interface. And it happens to work really well for any device as well. Student records give you the same kind of information, but in this case, we can also go out and get a certificate of completion if we want. So if we need a certificate of completion for the effective leadership course, and you can design your own certificates. It's a background, foreground, signature. The system generates an ID and the date, and the title, and then you just determine what the background format's going to be and get it all to fit. So that's really how the certificate system works. But it can also feed other certificate or badging systems as well, if that's part of your goal, because it's all done with technology that allows you to export those things using standard export protocols with dynamic reports and with things like JSON. You've got a course catalog, and the course catalog can be infinitely nested. It uses a little tinier course cards like you saw in the My Assignments, but it also gives you the ability to navigate through these things, and collect, select, things that you may want to take, and the images that are, being shown can either come from a library that we provide, that you assign or associate to, groups of courses or specific courses, or you can load your own image, or if the SCORM manifest has an image that you want to put, you can tag that in as well. If it's like an articulate course that has a great image you want to use and it's listed as an asset, obviously you can tag that in as the URL for that image. So again, you've got a lot of different options here, and then obviously an available classes calendar that tells you what's coming up, gives you some more information, lets you move on to enrollment for that activity or class or event, from here, which is how, again, most of you got here today on the KMx Direct site. Okay, so let's move back here to the presentation. I'll stop sharing my screen, and let's talk just a little bit about this client configurable user interface. Everything that you're seeing are like Lego building blocks, which is why the Lego theme for the presentation, because they're not fixed. They're blocks that we give you 23 report default blocks to work with, and you can create your own blocks from scratch, or you can copy one of the existing blocks and add columns or rows or delete things from it, or change a report to a chart, or change a chart to a map, or change a map to a report. Those are all things that are things that the customer can do all on their own, and then assign them to a user role, or assign them to the dashboard by user role. These are all things that are fully configurable by the customer without having to pick up the phone. The default widgets like the activity calendar, instructor calendar, and class management tools can be assigned if you have activities that your students participate in, like today. Then that might be handy. If they're an instructor, that might be handy to give them their instructor calendar and class management tools or other support tools. But you can also have interactive display widgets like we've shown you, the reports, charts, graphs, maps, and forms. But the system also supports all social media widgets that have embed APIs associated with them. So if you want to put your company Facebook feed up, fine. If you want to put a specific post that is important to a user group up, you can create that as well. Any social media widget will operate as long as it has an embed capability, which all of them do. Pinterest, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, they all have your embed feeds. And you see over here on the far right, we've got a social media content from NASA. It may be a little hard to see if you don't blow that up, but that's what that is. And then you have course and content widgets as well. So if you have content that you want to display on the dashboard, maybe it's a message from the CEO, or maybe it's something that you want to promote and you want it right there on the the front page, or maybe you want to have an application and create your own application out of content, so that when they land on their home page, they're presented with a menu. You could create a content menu yourself and have them click on something and move to another content menu. These are all things that are fully within the customer's control now with the different widget generation technologies that we've created. And we're using the WordPress editor. We did a license deal to get a copy of the WordPress editor, so you could leverage those kind of tools to create your own widgets and have them navigate to graphs or charts, or include maps, or whatever you want. You can create your own client generated widgets. So a lot of flexibility built into that part of the system. Okay, so the reports, graphs, charts, and maps can leverage any data element in the system, any data element, and you don't have to learn SQL, to use it, and you don't have to use an external report generator to use it. It's all built in, to the system. And there's a search engine that allows you to search for the data element you're looking for. Maybe you want the member's name. Type in member name, it'll find you a member name. Maybe you need, division location or course title, or whatever you type in, to the system. Even your custom fields can be searched, and you can rename your custom fields whatever you want to rename them. They don't have to be custom field 1. They can be, whatever you want custom field 1 for a course, to be. They don't have to be, something obtuse like custom field 1. You can use these to create the interactive widgets that we've talked about. And there's development wizards associated with things like the charts, reports, graphs, and maps that guide you through the process, so that you're not having to learn anything too difficult. You just follow the instructions on the screen. Like, when you get to generating a map, it's going to need to know what the location information is to put a pin on the map. So it's going to ask you to identify, okay, which data element are you using for pin locations, and you may want to use user address or division address or headquarters address or whatever, and you can output these so that they're role and permission filtered, so that the user doesn't see anything they're not supposed to see. So you got one report that's smart enough to only show the user what is associated with their role or permission. And they can all drill down and link to other elements. So you could link to another chart, you could link to another report, you could link to a form, you could link to another screen, you could link to a course, you could launch a course, you could launch content. All these things, are possible from the dynamic report, graphs, charts, and maps. We had one customer that created their own catalog system using the chart system, which I thought was kind of unique. they put it on the dashboard. So they've got a representation, and they turned the chart sideways so that it was a top-down thing, to navigate to all their catalogs from one screen, one visual representation of all their catalogs. So these are all things that you can do, and they fully support Microsoft Excel. They're printable, and they can be run independently or assigned to various forms within the system. So what is a form? Well, a form is a standard role-based widget that allows you to collect user information, do personnel evaluations, whatever selections that need to be made or data entry that needs to happen. Now, the system comes with default forms associated with supervisor roles, manager roles, and it's never going to be exactly what the customer wants. So what we did was we created this so that we could identify things, that the customer, we do overkill, basically, put everything that's possible on the default forms, and then let the customer decide what things they don't want to display. Maybe you don't want the user to change their email address, or maybe you don't want the user to be able to, update their labor category or whatever. You can remove things from the forms that shouldn't be available for edit on a form. And they're all role-based, user, supervisor, instructor, manager, and they can give you additional information, like I demonstrated earlier, to go to charts, graphs, maps, and you can do chain forms. You can trigger over to your employee evaluations. You can launch all this. I'm not going to bring all that up right now, but just to give you an idea, what's available, and they're customizable with your display and update options. We can create custom form entries for you. If you need a new custom form and you don't want to have to use the default forms that are provided with the system, they're all in the database. There's no coding that's required. And we can show you how to set up process flow sequences so that you could have, fill out this, fill out this, fill out this, or complete this before you do that kind of functionality right from your dashboard, if that's something that you wanted to do. Okay, so that was a mouthful. So I'm going to take a little break, and I'm going to turn presenter over to AJ here and let him move forward to slide, I guess 14 is what we're on.
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about some other topics.
All right. So admittedly, Jack stole a little bit of my thunder and already covered some of the course card details. So I might reiterate a few things. But anyway, so you may have already gotten the general gist of this, but course cards effectively allow customers to include all relevant course and class information in context to the logged in user and their selected display mode. So items displayed on course cards is completely client configurable, so we can support each customer's unique needs. So a very simple example, but some customers might require the display of continuing education units or CEUs, while others just opt to display only duration, right? KMx includes course custom fields as well, which also could be exposed on a course card. So if you need to display some customer specific information, you do have some custom attributes that you could leverage for that. Everything that you're seeing today is mobile friendly. So these course cards provide the same valuable information on both desktop and mobile views. I'm going to be showing you an example of that here shortly. If you've seen my eyes continuing to shift to the left, it's because I've been trying to keep an application from going to sleep, which has a mobile version of the interface up and running. So I'll share that with you here in a few minutes. Course cards are displayed in a variety of views. Again, Jack kind of showed you these as he kind of navigated throughout some of the core menu items. So starting with assignments, users can be assigned required training. Again, Jack already covered this, but in the context of course cards, the cards can include some color-coded status indicators that just help keep users on track and differentiate training that's required versus perhaps just general enrollments. Due dates also display just to kind of keep users on track. The current enrollments page displays, well, you guessed it, the user's current enrollments. However, like I mentioned with assignments, the course cards help users identify those delinquencies and easily spot courses that may even have a class component. For example, the course card that's displayed right here on the screen represents a course that contains a class, meaning an in-person or a live session style event. So the calendar icon that displays signals that this course contains a class, and expanding the details shows you some pertinent class information like the start and end date. Student records. This displays similarly to enrollments, but the course card details change to show completion dates and also allow you to print a completion certificate like Jack showed you, along with some social media sharing style elements. The course catalog views are similar to the last view that I've described, but they give you some options to enroll or select a specific class offering. Another great use case too, which I'll show you, is that if you come across a course in the catalog that you're already enrolled in, you'll have the option to launch that course directly from the catalog, as well as view those enrollment details. So it just helps with navigation quite a bit. Same thing applies when you're searching for a course or a class. Searches will display applicable course cards, which could prompt new enrollment, or it might display details on courses that you're already enrolled or already assigned. The available classes display provides a calendar view of upcoming classes. So selecting a specific instance will then drill you down into a course card that contains that class's pertinent information like location, the instructor, and the start and the end date. And again, all those items are configurable as well on whether or not you want to display them. The short of all this is basically that regardless of course card view, users are always presented with pertinent information, and the navigation is going to be streamlined just by maintaining consistent views while allowing course launch from a variety of those display modes. All right, so course catalogs provide visibility of course offerings eligible for enrollment. Developers have options to restrict access to specific courses, classes, or catalogs using things called company or company type restrictions. As a practical example, I could display a catalog specific to the retail portion of my organization only to the retail folks, while maintaining a different catalog or a series of catalogs to corporate members. We do also support anonymous browsing of catalogs. So if you'd like for non-logged in users to be able to browse the catalog and review your offerings, you can do so. It's a great way to be able to kind of advertise some of your training and then maybe get some folks registered on your site. Catalogs do support infinite or unlimited nesting. So you could select catalog A, which could then display catalog B, C, and D, and so on. And selecting catalog D could drill you down to E, F, et cetera, et cetera. It can go as far as you'd like. So some of our customers like to set up, mini catalogs with just a few courses, while others set up a few catalogs with many courses. The good news, though, too, is that you'll always have the search bar in the upper menu, which allows you to search directly for a course. So if you happen to have a course that is, nested very deeply, it's always easily retrievable by title or keyword search. Note that courses can also be assigned to one or many catalogs. So there's no restriction here. If a course is applicable to 10 different catalogs, you can add it to all 10 if you prefer. So all that being said, we've talked about this, but let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen, and I want to show you the items that we just discussed, but on a mobile device. All right, so the application that we're looking at here, and pardon if I'm turning this direction, I'm looking at an alternate screen. This is called Browser Stack. So it effectively just allows us to run our site through an actual mobile device. So what you're seeing, isn't a simulation. It's actually running on a Samsung Galaxy phone. I'm going to start by navigating to our, our current enrollments page, since that's kind of what we talked about first, so we can review a couple of these together. So as you can see, each course card can contain a course image. Visually, it's appealing, but you can also generate some images and color schemes to match some branding or even draw attention to specific offerings. Each course card contains an expand, which also becomes a collapse control to give you some additional information about that selection. The current configuration will show you your course description along with your enrollment date, status, duration, format, and CEUs. Again, all of this is also configurable. Courses that contain e-learning content, meaning it's launchable, will have a launch icon here indicated by this play symbol, which would allow me to launch and start viewing and taking that course. And similarly, if the course allows for removal by the student, they'll have a little delete icon here for deleting that particular course offering. If the course happens to have a class component, like seen here in change management, you will see a calendar icon displayed, and expanding those course card details. Well, now we have an additional layer inside this course card, which gives me those pertinent class detail information, such as the location, where is the class being held, who is it being taught by, where's the classroom that it's being taught in, and the start and the end dates. Now, I also mentioned delinquencies earlier, and Jack touched on this as well, but we use these color-coded status indicators, which do also tie into the user's My Assignments page, but it gives an easy visual representation as I'm looking through my current enrollments to identify those delinquencies and know that I should take action on it. So based on this particular current enrollment, I'll notice that my due date was yesterday. I've not yet completed this particular training, again, as indicated by the red notice. And you see what certification or training continuum that's generated from. I can also select this training continuum, and it will take me to the My Assignments page, drill down to that specific certification, so I can view some more details in context of this particular assignment. Moving on to the catalog. Again, catalogs can contain imagery as well. It is client configurable, so if you don't want images, it's not required. However, I do think it creates for a much nicer user experience. And if we drill down into the catalogs, again, we'll see some similarities in these course cards. Notice how these first two offerings, well, I'm already enrolled in these offerings, and that is indicated by the fact that I have a play icon here, meaning I don't have the option to enroll because I'm already enrolled. And what's nice is by drastically saving clicks, rather than then navigating back to my current enrollments page, finding that enrollment and launching it, I can hit the play icon and launch it directly from my enrollments. Again, my delinquency is also noted in this particular catalog view. So in this instance, I'm assigned this training, I'm overdue. That course card remains consistent regardless of being on current enrollments, or even in this context, the catalog view. One last thing to show you here as well in this particular catalog. Again, now in this catalog, we have some courses that I am not enrolled into. So see that that play icon is replaced with an enrollment icon. Again, I can expand to view pertinent details about that course, and selecting this icon will enroll me in said course. You'll likely notice that this little stop symbol applied here for this effective leadership course, and why I don't have an enrollment icon. Courses allow, there's a setting to prevent duplicate enrollment in courses. So if a course does not allow duplicate enrollment, and I've already been enrolled and completed it, I am stopped right at the course catalog view, and I'm provided an image letting me know, and excuse me, text letting me know that repeat enrollments are not permitted. So with that, unless there's any mobile specific questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I will transfer back to Jack to continue on.
Thanks, AJ. One of the other things that the catalogs allow you to do is further restrict by classification, of the individual and some other axes as well. Some of our customers have, really, tried to make the catalog so specific that the users aren't spending any time or even able to see anything that isn't related to their actual role within the organization. So you can go beyond entity or division or department and things like that, and even go into further subclassifications and language as well. So if you want to have a French catalog, a German catalog, a Spanish catalog, set up that is available to your Spanish users, and make it so that the Spanish users aren't having to navigate around all the English titles. That can be pretty handy as well. The certification continuums, within the system, though, that AJ, demonstrated, and we briefly touched on when I was speaking earlier, are more than just a way of, creating, groups of courses. They can be either extremely complex, like a new employee onboarding program, where you've got, some, sequence of things that you want people to do, the day they, are recognized by the system. Or they could be an entire career path of an individual, or planned career path, or planned talent management path associated with a specific role. The user assignment of courses continuums is normally set up so that they achieve some level of competence. So maybe they have to be a journeyman or an apprentice before they become a journeyman, or maybe they're going to have to be a basic technician before you let them touch the brakes, or maybe they need to be a payroll specialist before they get to touch general ledger. However you want to set things up, in your organization to create career paths, or to create certification profiles, or to manage certifications of individuals that have external certification requirements, or licenses, or continuing education credit, requirements, can be done within the certification concept. So your courses that you have, or that you link to, or that you sponsor, can be provided with a recommended or forced completion sequence. That allows you to say, okay, well, here's a list of recommended, courses for you based on your profile that the system can generate based on other history, based on things that you've done in the past, based on your classification, demographics, what have you. Or it could be, these are things you really have to do, forced completion sequence, or just, an open bucket of things that could be recommended to a user based on a group. They can have independent or time-based dates that are fixed. So you could say everybody's got to be done by the end of March, or this course has to be done by the end of March, and this one's got to be done by June, or whatever. Or you could have it be 90 days after assignment, 60 days after assignment, 30 days after assignment, within a year, of coming on board with the company. They can be time-based and staggered if, that fits your program, which allows the system to also look at doing things like automatic enrollment. So, if you want the system to completely run the program, well, they completed course 1, now they get to do course 2, then they get to do course 3, and they don't even know that, the next certification is available yet, because it's been blacked out until they at least get the basics done. You can set those kind of change sequences up within the system that keeps the users on track with, messages, notifications, and emails that are, on the screen in their inbox, and hitting their browser, or if you compile it into an app, hitting their app for pretty much any assignment mode. So, we're looking at user self-assignment, where, a user, could come in and, make a selection. Some of our customers, allow user self-selection of continuums. Supervisor or management assignment, instead of just assigning, a person to a bunch of courses one by one, you could set up continuums that make sense for supervisor or manager assignment. You'd have batch assignments that are, set up by saying, okay, everybody, in the parts department has to, now go to this new continuum. Rule-based assignments that can be fully automated on any demographic or history information associated with the user. So, supervisors in the state of California with 5 direct reports could be a rule. And, we all know that California has some unique laws for supervisors with more than 5 direct reports. So the system, can follow any rule that you set up and create the assignment to the certification continuum. And the continuum could be a single course. It doesn't have to be 2 or 3 courses. It could be 1 course. California, required supervisor training, or whatever rules that you're trying to comply with. And it does support all your popular HRIS technologies, with the ability to feed HRIS data into the certification continuum assignments, and then process the rules that you've set up for those roles coming out of, or that information coming out of your HRIS. And you can just take your hands off and let the system run, and it will give you the reports of who's assigned, where they are, in the continuum, who's delinquent, who's on track and who's accelerated to the point where you might want to consider them for some additional roles within your organization. Those are the kind of things that customers like to do with this. Let's see. Let's go to Mike here. Mike, I forwarded you already to. I'm gonna. AJ's already pretty much shown the certification routine, so I'm going to go ahead and skip forward and move to e-commerce. So, Mike, you're now the presenter. If you want to, talk about the next couple of slides here.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, our e-commerce engine out of the box is integrated with the Authorize.net and PayPal payment gateways. Enterprise customers have the option of integrating with their own third-party payment service provider if need be. Avalara tax service is also available if your tax advisor says you've got to collect sales taxes on some or all of your offerings, where you can set up your tax rules directly in KMx. The challenge with that is you got to keep maintaining them as they change. The Avalara tax service does that for you, so that you're not trying to keep up with different state and municipal tax regimes. To do it, pricing, you've got the options to set pricing per unit or set bulk pricing for bulk purchases. You can facilitate, coupons. You can run a special with a 10% off coupon code that gets emailed out to everybody, and it's good for 30 days in a marketing campaign. Payment vouchers are available, where a corporation might make a large bulk purchase of the voucher codes and distribute them to individual members in lieu of a credit card for payment, so they can get themselves signed up. We can manage subscription-based purchasing, where you're buying access to a library of material for a set period of time. And then purchases can be facilitated through a shopping cart or through a direct click this course and pay for it type approach, and skip the cart if you want to. And again, enterprise customers can also integrate with external carts in addition to using our own. So a customer who has a large e-commerce presence that sells more than just training and uses like a Magento type or similar third-party e-commerce engine, you can post the product for purchase from the LMS directly to the Magento shopping cart or whatever that third-party cart is for checkout. So there's a lot of flexibility in structuring and managing your e-commerce rules as needed to support your organization's objectives for sale of your offerings. The e-commerce is not set up as e-commerce as a service. The money is not passing through anything that KMSI touches. It'll all go to your merchant account, so you have full control of the money flows. We've had that question come up a couple of times, if we were taking a cut, and we do not normally do that. Excuse me. To do it. So there's a lot of capability in how you structure and organize your sales, depending on what your organization needs, whether it's working with third-party e-commerce engines or using the native e-commerce engine in KMx. If anybody has any questions about commerce issues, please feel free to throw them in the chat, and then we'll be glad to respond to them. You can do that publicly or privately. And I'll move along here to my next topic. The developer and administrative interface is set up to allow for management of multiple levels of access. A full service system administrator can literally get to every function in KMx. You can get to all capabilities, including reconfiguring the behavior of the student interface if you want. But you can segregate that. You can set up permissions for content managers who can only author and check in e-learning lessons for use by the instructional designers. Instructional designers can go in and define their course outlines by selecting material from the content library to set up and develop the courses and set up the certification rules for those courses if they're appropriate. Human administrators, people administrators can go in and just deal with people, right? Just user accounts. So you can segregate access significantly. This screenshot shows what you'd see if you're logged in as a sysadmin with access to everything. But if your role was more restricted, some of those options on the left become grayed out, and if you try to navigate into them, it's just going to tell you no thank you. So that people, you can desegregate your role administration within the LMS so that people get a need to know access to what they need without exposing the entire environment to people who don't necessarily need access to it. And you can even segregate reports administration to be its own role if need be for setting up and running your own reports out of the system. At center frame on the admin console are your dashboards, and those are also completely configurable to track what you need to track. If you just launched a brand new course or set of courses and you need to track enrollment activity by day over a couple of weeks, you can set up a graph and poke it in there so that you're watching, as that new popular course sells thousands of subscriptions and generates whopping record revenues for your organization. Or the CEO's high priority new program is getting lots of attention and people are getting through their assignment quickly and well ahead of the deadline. You'll be able to see that right there in a simple bar graph that you can check as your dashboard, and you can change them on the fly. So 1 week it's offering A that you need to track, and then the next week the organization's attention focuses to the next thing. You can shift those around as you need to keep track of what's important today. To do that, you'll also see access to a master schedule. That's a Gantt chart that shows all of your scheduled training across the organization for administrators who have access to that information, and can be a very powerful tool for visualizing just how busy your training delivery staff is, all of your various instructors and people engaged in the delivery of training. If you have a lot of synchronous activity, be it in a classroom or live online through a forum like this one, to do that. And you've got simple access to search and discovery tools right here, so that administrators can quickly find what they're looking for if they just need to drill into one particular course or find an individual quickly. The tools are there to do that. Any questions about any of that? Okay. Who's next? I go back to Jack or AJ?
Me. I got it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about pricing. Everybody wants to know how much does something like this cost. We have a all-you-can-eat model, that starts significantly lower than any of our competitors. But we also have a model for very small organizations under 25 3,000 users that is based on $500 per 1,000 users. After the first increment. So that that gives you an idea of what our pricing is. And when we start, even at as low as 5,000 users, a customer is paying $1 or $2 per person per month. Like in a competitor, A or B scenario, is going to be paying dramatically more, for their system than what you're going to be getting, charged from, KMx. Because once we hit that 5,000 user threshold, we're at $35,000 a year, hosted, and we don't have anybody that even comes close to us from published pricing, that's out there. Now, some of our competitors do have unlimited user licenses that start at much higher thresholds, but they're usually in the $200,000 or $300,000 a year range. Where again, we're at $35,000, whether you've got 5,000 users or 5 million users. And we've had customers. We had one customer that put 20 million users online. So these things are all completely doable. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what a dramatic difference. We're the green column, and I won't tell you who this is, but you probably all know who this red column is, because they're kind of expensive out there. We all know who they are. Okay, and it isn't like you got to take my word for it. Our independent evaluations have all come back the same. We hit 100% on almost every key threshold of every evaluation that we've done. The virtual classroom that we're looking at right now is now being reevaluated by a couple of suppliers because it's pretty new, and we're expecting it's going to get 100% too, because it does 150% of what its competitors do. So again, and I'm going to show you that in just a second, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. But again, we outperform the average solution 100% of the time on all major axes that have been measured in these independent evaluations. So to put a cap on it, we're offering a product with tremendous value. We support all learning blends. It's a unified platform. You don't have to buy it in piece parts, and you don't have to pay extra for piece parts. The virtual classroom that you're using today, we're offering one 100-seat room, to all of our new clients right now. That's a pretty good deal. And then additional rooms, if you want to give one to every single one of your instructors, our training rooms, are only $500 a year. So they're extremely affordable when you compare it to giving this kind of capability out with some of these other products. And a lot of training organizations don't have a clue how much some of these other products are costing their company because it went through IT for purchasing. But I can guarantee you that it can be quite expensive when you're running large class loads. Again, competitive pricing, unmatched performance, and I think we've shown you some fairly extensive features. There's a lot more we could show you, but we only had an hour to go, and we're already an hour and 10 into this. And we've supported every market sector. We've got some of the largest corporations in the world using KMx. We've had customers that have been with us our entire histories, for the last 21 years. Same with associations. We've done some very large things for higher education, working with Johns Hopkins and various medical schools and other higher ed environments, and K-12. Make sure to visit us on the internet at www.kmsi.com to learn more. Thanks for attending today, and we look forward to you attending our next presentation.